Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of 4Fusion Friday. It's Friday evening. Well, it's Friday evening where we are. Maybe not quite, but it is. It is when we're going live here. So thanks for joining us here on this another fun episode. It should be really fun today because we've got four incredible albums to talk about. Really, we have five, but let me introduce everybody. We've got our special guest Sven Levine here today. What's happening?
How you doing?
And then, of course, the leaders of the show, George Lamie, Eric Porter. What's happening, guys?
So,
How are you?
Doing good. Ready to talk some Kazumi Watanabe
I
today.
know you are.
Yeah, yeah. This is, we've said it a million times. We've been doing the show for a number of years now, but every month George gives us really hard decisions to make with the four albums that are chosen. Today, I'm even sitting here right now, and I have no idea how to rank these four.
Yep.
I have some conflicts myself.
Yeah, it's just they're, all four, all five really, well, the four are like equally great. And maybe it's just because I love this guitar player so much, and I don't think he's really ever put out a bad album, even though a lot of them are all different from each other. But in most cases, usually the musicianship and the compositions are really like high quality. So, but anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So let me turn it over to George because I'm sure he's got some new release to talk about before we get into the four square. And here we go. George, take it away.
All right. I Kuwabara Flying. This is a new artist to me. It's her seventh album actually. She's a Japanese piano player. You got Gene Coy from Hiromi Sonic Wonder on drums, Sam Wilkes from Nowhere on bass, and a guitar player I don't know named Horace Bray. It reminds me of the more mid-tempo stuff on the Jaizu albums, melodic, piano-driven tunes. Actually, Gene Coy, I think, sounds a little snappier on this album than he does on the Hiromi stuff. That was kind of interesting to me. You got eight tracks, one ballad, one vocal tune, but the rest of it is cool. It's a good listen. I only got a couple spins on it, but I'm enjoying it. Next up, Ilko van Zanten, Eel Fusion Castile. This is another new artist to me. Ilko is a guitarist from the Netherlands, supposedly a student of Richard Halabeek. Well, he doesn't really sound like him. Um, this is quartet fusion, kind of on the short and catchy side. You got a lot of songs in the 3 minute range, which is pretty unusual for fusion. But yeah, it's not chops driven. It's more about songs, and I think the songs are memorable. So I suggest check it out. This is on Bandcamp, and they sell hard copies on Bandcamp. So, and lastly, Chrono Jazz, Interplanetary Funk. This is one that Eric came across, featuring Ali Usiskin, Jimmy Haslip, and a guitar player I didn't know named Rossi and Lardner. I I only had the one track on the Bandcamp, but Eric, you've heard more of it?
Yeah. I'm really digging it. I got a message from Ollie on Sunday asking for a review that it was being released on Friday, this coming Friday, I think. Well, today, September 5th. Had no clue it was coming. So, uh, got an advanced copy, very Holdsworth driven, and that guitar player apparently wrote everything. Um, I think Haslip came in, maybe helped with some arrangements and some producing, but I think he's kind of the spearhead of the whole project. I'm loving it. I mean, I've probably got three or four spins in, and I think it's terrific. So there should be a review forthcoming. And check it out. Like you said, it's on Bandcamp. I assume on Friday everything will be out there to sample at that point. So make sure to check it out this Friday, today.
Cool. Well, that's it on new releases.
Cool.
So the square was an idea of Pete's. Uh, he and I both go way back with Kazumi to the 80s. I believe you may go that far back too, Sven, right? I mean, you've been
Yeah.
a fan for a long time.
Yep. Yeah. Back in the college days, brings back fond memories.
Yeah, I was buying those Mobo releases on cassette back when they first got came out. That's a long time ago.
Yeah. So I threw together I bounced around the eras a little bit. We got a couple 80s here, uh an aughts and 2010s. I thought would be interesting cross section here. The guy's got over 70 albums, so to pick four is like, crazy. But I picked four that I thought were really good, and we'll see where we get with it. Let me start off with the guest. What's your number four, Sven?
So my number four is Spice of Life. Um, I mean, it was tough. I think all four are really close. Although the two 80s ones are very 80s, like E-drums. So I had to kind of adjust for, that these are 80s releases. But yeah, so this Spice of Life, I mean, I think it's a pretty solid record. I really identify with how Kazumi just kind of his solos are so squirrely, like they're really unpredictable. I love that. That was the first thing that really caught me is that they're not predictable. He'd kind of start with one motif and he'd shift into another, and it was so fast, and it was just like just very stimulating to me. I really like that. And this album has a lot of that. I feel like it's the typical kind of solos that, he starts out mellow and they build to this frenetic pace. Um, Really heavily flanged and chorused, his guitar sound through the whole thing. Um, the I noticed in most of his albums, I mean, one of the other things about Kazumi is as a Japanese artist, he was kind of one of the few people to show up in the 80s. And I think a big part of it is because he brought in American people. And this one, Jeff Berlin, Bill Bruford, they really come through. So it's like Kazumi's personality comes through, but I feel like the rest of the band is a big part of the album too. So I like the way that they kind of balance out. So Jeff Berlin's really solid bass playing through this whole thing is really drives the album. And it's kind of the one thing that doesn't sound really very dated. It's like the guitar sounds and the drum sounds are very 80s. Um, I feel like there's a lot of just like 80s motifs in this. There's these sort of like new wave kind of pop motifs that kind of pop in every now and then. But Jeff Berlin kind of holds it down. Um, and then Bill Bruford, obviously, too. This is a real showcase for his work as well. Um, a couple ones that stand out. I guess JFK kind of stood out. That's kind of a fun romp. I like the way he kind of like there's like kind of almost a surf rock thing going on that was kind of fun, and then it goes into this like really anthemy kind of doubled line. And then it's like kind of this country chicken picking thing, and then it gets a little bit more like Holdsworth with the solo. So yeah, I mean, just a lot of fun movement. They're not boring. They move through a lot of um, different feels through the tunes. So that's,
Eric, where are you going for four?
I have to expose myself, I guess, on this show and not in a different term, but you guys have a lot of history. I don't. As a guitar player, it's kind of embarrassing. So when Pete brought this up, I've heard about him for years. George, you've given me a few things over the years as well, but I really never dove in. And saying this guy is prolific is an understatement because he's got such a catalog. It's crazy, but I'm with Sven. I'm going with Spice of Life. I think had I heard this when it came out, I might have had a different feeling of it than I did now because I agree with Sven. It's got that kind of 80s stamp on it between Bruford's drums and the guitar sounds. And I thought about that because I said, and I hate to bring it up because it probably is obvious. I do get a Crimson feel on things, obviously with Bruford there. But like the opener, I think kind of has that atmospheric intro. And then when the song kicks in, I really felt an 80s Crimson vibe. And yet I've listened to 80s Crimson since the 80s. So to me, though, it works there and here. And again, we're talking it's not an album, that I would knock other than of its time because I like the tunes on here. I think UNT had some ripping guitar. And as I go through this, he's got that, it's kind of the blue sound, that heavy jazz chorus. There's a lot of compression. I really like his rhythm playing. I love when he's doing the combination of rhythm playing and throwing the lead licks in there. JFK, it's interesting you said that, Sven, because I was like, boy, that's really like new wavy punky with that intro. But then once the solo gets going, it really gets cooking. And I agree. I think Jeff Berlin, I believe Berlin was Bruford's suggestion for King Crimson, which Fripp, I believe, turned down. But I think Bruford and Berlin are terrific, and we'll talk about that. I think on all four of these records because he's got great bands for everything. But I think it's probably just the time I came into this versus had I heard this when it came out, where I might have grown with it. It just that might be the one thing that kind of put it where it is because, like I said, I really like the songs. I think the playing's great. It's got that 80s stamp on it that just kind of puts it at number 4 for me. But a good record.
Well, this is one time I do not have to ask if Pete's going to follow. What I know he won't. What is your number four, Pete?
You are spot on. No, that will not be my number four. So this was really difficult because there's really for me there's not a lot that separates these, and I've gone back and forth with this, and ultimately you got to at some point you just got to stop and put them in an order. I feel bad any of these coming in number four, but let me just stress to everybody watching, these are all, in my opinion, these are all really really good albums. So there's no losers here, and I'm actually surprised going in. I thought my number four would be a little higher. Yeah, but that just goes to show you the strength of the other three. I'm going to go with Kilowatt from 1989, which, it's got an amazing lineup, right? It's got Bunny Burnell. Everybody knows I love. We've talked about Bunny here on the channel before, on the show before. John Wackerman is terrific. Got a little Wayne Shorter. You got a little Patrick Moraz. You got Alex Acuna. So it's just a great lineup on this record. And it's a good sounding album. I mean, 1,000 Mega is so much fun. I back in the day when like I said, I bought a bunch of these Kazumis on cassette back in the day when they first came out. And I remember listening to 1,000 Mega over and over and over again. I just love the playfulness of it. I love Bunny's bass and then Kazumi, like Sven mentioned, he's so unconventional. He comes in and out with these kind of weird voicings and these odd things that he does, but it all really, really works. Capri is really engaging. I like that a lot. No Man is super funky. Papyrus is always been one of my favorites on here. Terrific, terrific track. You got really melodic stuff on here. Sunspit is really good. You get the more laid back jazzy stuff, which he throws in all the time, like Pretty Soon. He does some covers, right? Dolphin Dance by Herbie is really, really well done. I mean, basically Kazumi and Bunny just putting on a clinic. Really, really nice acoustic work on that. Um, Good Night Machines is great. There's nothing bad I could say about it. It's a really, really good album. It's number four for me though, but it's awesome. If anybody wanted to start with this as their introduction to Kasumi, I'd be like, yeah, go for it. So great album. It's my number four though.
Number four is Trico Roll.
Hmm.
2011. Probably the best guitar sound out of all these albums.
Could be.
I really like the guitar sound on this. Um, yeah, this is just another really good record. Shanghai is a remake from Mobo 2, actually, and I like this version quite a bit better. Um, my favorites are probably, though, like Rydeen and Algorithm. Algorithm, that's a great track. Um, both of those tunes have Horacio Hernandez, who's probably my top 10 drummers. He's fantastic. Um, got a few covers on here. You got Sidewinder, Lee Morgan, Moments Notice from Train. I've always liked that song. I like every song on this except for Sea Dream, which is positively catatonic. I mean, that is a ballad that'll just put you to sleep if you're not careful. The rest of this is good. It's good, solid stuff. Uh, Nothing to complain about here. You got Yannick Wisdala on bass. He's a guy that doesn't do a ton of sessions, so it's good to hear him. He did a couple solos on here. Really good album, but it's tough company this month, so I stuck it at 4. Sven?
Okay, so on to 3. So my number 3 was Kilowatt, and it's funny. I thought I would like this one more. That was really like, I mean, back in the 80s, that was one of my favorite albums. I had the cutout from the CD box like taped up on my little cubicle in the design studio. And just a little history, just if I could stick it in there. I mean, just how I discovered Kazumi back then. I didn't really have much access to reviews or anything, and I would just kind of buy CDs that looked interesting. Um, and then my first Kazumi CD was, I think, one of the Mobo ones, and it just, oh, there's an interesting, guy with a guitar. I think I'll buy this, and just ended up, that was my introduction. And then, Kilowatt was probably that might have been the second or third Kazumi album that I bought. But yeah, I just loved everything about it. The last tune on there, Good Night Machines. It's kind of cheesy when I listen to it now. It's very 80s, but I remember just loving, like, I would listen to that when I was driving, and it was just it would get me just really pumped up. Just the energy in it was really good. Um, Capri is pretty cool. It's got kind of, clean melodic head, and then he gets into his whole like angular kind of thing. And then Wayne Shorter, sax solo. What else? Jive, great tune. That was one of my favorites. It gets a little disco in places, but still pretty fun to listen to. And I mentioned just sort of like that he does let the personality of his band come through too. And I felt like, this is Bunny Brunel, and it felt like in some cases, in some of the songs, it sort of felt like a Brunel album almost. Like there's a lot of the Brunel standards are there, like Dolphin Dance, um, Pretty Soon, Bernard. Really kind of his personality really come through on those tunes. Um, what else? Yeah, I think, I guess that about wraps it up for me on that one.
Eric, what's your 3?
But as you can see, I bought it. So, but I'm going with Sven and I'm going with Kilowatt as well at number 3. And I think with this one, um, I agree. I think Bunny Brunel is extremely prominent in a good way. I really enjoy his bass playing on this. Uh, that 1,000 mega that opens, scorching guitar, and Brunel's presence is really strong there. Great track. I love that opener. I would agree that Goodnight Machines, the closer, another one that's excellent guitar, and it has some of the keyboard sounds. And I think where, you know, like you guys said, ranking these was very difficult, but I think where this one kind of fell into number 3 was I did feel there was kind of a little bit of a pullback on the second half of the record, a little bit mellower. And not that that's a bad thing. It's just kind of the way I felt with the record. Maybe it was the sequencing where maybe it could have been a little mix on the second half to pop some things in there. But that being said, that Dolphin Dance is a really nice acoustic piece. I really enjoyed that. Bernard has some terrific soloing, and we mentioned the closer, Goodnight Machines, real good rock and closer on that. I didn't find, and I'll need more listening. I didn't find this one, even though it does have some of those sounds. I didn't feel it was as 80s sounding as Spice of Life, but obviously those sounds are there. But like I said, I think where this fell for me is it seemed like there was a little mellower side to it on that second half, that I might have liked a little more punch somewhere mixed in there. But again, really good record. I did enjoy the acoustic stuff a lot in Dolphin Dance, so I wouldn't mind hearing more of that from him as well. But again, good record. I went out and grabbed it. So there'll be more Kazumi coming my way, I'm sure. But that's my number 3.
And once you get started, it's a big rabbit hole.
Indeed.
What do you got, Pete?
I got Tricorol at number three. Really good album. George, Calvert or Hernandez is doing most of the drums on this album. I know they're both listed on there. Or is it just kind of like a mix?
It's split almost 50-50.
Okay. Great drumming on this album. Big time. I think out of the four of these albums, I think the drumming well, obviously, you got Bruford and some other great players, but there's amazing drumming on this album, especially like on the opener, Shanghai. Really good stuff on there. I love Metabolism. Love those heavy riffs right in the middle of that song. It's almost sounded like fragile in spots. There's some moments in some of these albums where he just bursts in with these like heavy riffs, and I'm thinking, oh boy, that's giving me those fragile moves there. I love Rydeen. I think that's awesome. Algorithm, ultra groovy. Really good album. I agree with you. Sea Dream is kind of snoozy. It's my least favorite track on here. One of my least favorites on all these albums, but it's not terrible. But I love Perfect Water, and I love the take on the Sidewinder. I'm a big fan of that song anyway, the Lee Morgan classic. It's really, really good. And I think I love Kazumi's tone on this album. I mean, I like him on all these, but he's really hitting on some sweet sounds on this record. So, and I really also like too when he does like kind of like traditional jazz, like Moment's Notice, because I like some of the '70s stuff too, where he does more of that traditional jazz sound. He usually at least puts one or two tracks like that on all these albums. So, really, really good album. It's my number three.
My number three is Mobop. Um, this is the first of a three album set, Mobop 1, 2, and 3. The new electric trio, supposedly. It's Kazumi, Richard Bona, and Horacio Hernandez. That's like a dream rhythm section. Bona, complete beast on the bass.
Oh yeah.
Uh, look no further than the song Robo. That song, the bass solo, is just retarded. I mean, it's so crazy good. That's my favorite track. I also love Dada. That's got massive drum breaks from Hernandez. Partita is one of my favorites. This album's a little up and down for me. There's some tracks that are, I don't know, they feel a little bit loping, just kind of plodding along, like maybe Ring of Life or Momo. But there's nothing bad on here. I mean, it's a good group of tunes. All three of them are pretty much. I think this one's the best by a little bit, but not much at all. I mean, there's hardly anything to pick from. This is 2003. So he spent a lot of the 2000s with this trio. And they did a DVD too, which is a real nice watch. There's a good cover of Naima. I never get sick of that song. So that was good to see. This month broke down for me like the 3 and 4 are close and the 1 and 2 are close. And there's a little step between the two pairs. So this and Tricorol, I went back and forth. I ended up putting Mobop at 3.
Okay.
Sven?
Yeah, so this one, it's funny. My number two is Mobop, and I thought for sure that would be my number one because I remember just being so smitten with these Mobop things when they came out. And but part of it was that they were really hard to get. For some reason, it's just really hard to find these CDs. And I had a couple like very low quality MP3s, and I'm like a little more of an audiophile, as George probably knows. And I know that they were out on Super Audio CD, and I always like, God, I'd really love to like track one of those down, but they were also like going for close to $100. And I just, never sought them out. I just kind of put up with the MP3s and eventually got the high quality tracks. But now they're up on my streamers all in like, in high res. But I guess where I was going with that is that it was just that it was the scarcity of these CDs kind of made them more sought after. And that was part of it. I remember just, trying so hard to get this. But then actually listening through it, it wasn't as great as my number one. It has some good tunes on it, but I feel like there's a couple standouts that really had that Mobop energy, but then some of the tunes just didn't have that punch. Richard Bona on here is insane. He's just a crazy bass player, and you don't really get to hear him really like rip on fusion very much. Like he does this kind of like it's beautiful. He does this like kind of melodic African kind of thing where he sings these traditional songs and does this finger style, and that's kind of his thing. But to hear him just go full fusion is a real treat. Um, it's in this album I heard a little bit of like Metheny influence on some of the clean parts is one of the things that came up. Um, the first tune, Mobop, was just that really sets the tone. I mean, that was like it has a real power trio feel. It was almost reminiscent of Cream a little bit to me. It just is sort of like driving kind of thing, but with a slap bass backing. But the unison lines, just that whole vibe, had that just this kind of power trio thing, which was cool. Um, Dada, but that one's had like a real Matheny vibe to me, and I feel like a lot of the kind of Koichi Yobori fragile stuff, is very. This reminded me of that too. Um, the take on Naima was really cool. Like I love how it starts with kind of like a slow reggae funk kind of beat. And then he goes into this kind of flange chord melody thing, and then he does this whole frenetic thing, and then goes into it gets a little more bluesy. And then it kind of transitions over to this kind of like power trio kind of ahead. So just, the way he mixed it up was really interesting. Um, Tricorn is actually a remake of there's a song called Unicorn on Tochika. And so he's kind of starts out with this kind of like almost like classic rock style intro. And then about halfway through it goes into Unicorn, which is one of my favorite songs from Tochika. I just love the melodicism on that. Like in his earlier things, he had this melodicism that was like a little bit kind of like maybe reminded me of Steve Kahn a little bit. And so that tune really just kind of ties into that. So that's it for me.
Eric, what is your two?
I'm following Sven all night. I'm going with Mobop as well as at my number two. I love the title track. Nice wah and vibrato. Might even be an auto wah that's going there. Good main riff. Dada kind of. I had to go back and listen to that a couple times because when it started, I was like, geez, that one's almost like a little easy breezy kind of thing. And then the drums really drive that track and what a great solo and in that one and it just picks up speed. And I think that happens a lot with this stuff where um this guy's got a rocker heart, I think, sometimes because you'll be listening to something, it's like, man, he's just digging in and ripping. Robo was the same. I can live without the vocalizations. I got to say that one. But man, the playing is fiery in that. I love it. That tricorn, the closer, that smokes. Um, I think I'm going through my notes on a lot of this. Even backdrop, that's got kind of like a slinky feel. The solo hit in this one's got like a cleaner tone. It's not his more saturated tone, but I don't know. I love this. I love this record. There's a softy or two. I think Ring of Life is that like a fretless bass. Um, kind of leads that tune, but I don't know. And even that partita, the solo section is just killer, and it completely changes the song. So I think that's another thing. You were talking, Sven, about how his solos aren't predictable, but even the way they arrange these tunes, sometimes you're like, geez, this one's going to be mellow, and the next thing you know, they're killing it. So I'm going with Mobop at number two.
Eight?
I got Mobop at number two. It's really good. By the way, what I was grabbing for while Sven was talk about the Kazumi rabbit hole, and this is just stuff that I've gotten like in the last 6 months. I have a whole bunch more.
Wow.
Just yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, this is a really good album. I love Mobop title track, really good stuff. Robo is amazing. His solos are amazing, and I normally don't like the scatting thing, but it's so much fun. I've come down on other albums about it, but I love it on here. I think it's really good. I love the cover of Naima. I mean, I think almost everybody who covers that gives it their own flavor and whatnot. I think it's really good. I think really the only track on here I don't care for all that much is Momo. It's okay. It's a little uneventful, but Neo is great. Partita's great. Tricorn is just, man, his solos and his guitar tone on that are just absolutely lethal. I think Dada's a lot of fun. Ring of Life is cool. Again, there he's playing like the more straight jazz stuff, which I really like when he throws a little bit of that in there. This is really good. I don't have any of the Mobop. This was really the only one that was new to me. I'm very interested in hearing some of the other ones as well. So good stuff. Number two.
And George, I think on because I was going through rate your music, because I'm like, all right, I got to pick out the biggies. And I think the other two Mobops, I know you said this one's your favorite. I think the other two had a higher rating, if I remember correctly.
It
Or
doesn't surprise me. They're all super close.
okay, good. Well, good to know, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm sure if you ask Sven, he might have a different favorite too. I mean, it's like splitting hairs, picking one of
Right.
them. My number two is Spice of Life. This is where I came in with Kazumi. I got a guitar player, a friend of mine, my buddy Pietro, by his house one day, and he puts this on, and it looks weird, the cover's weird, and the back, those Gramavision backs, they're all look so staid and boring. It just looked like, what is this? You start playing it, I'm like, wow, this is something else. Uh, Berlin and Bruford, of course, I don't think it's a mistake that he went and got the Bruford rhythm section. I think he wanted that a particular sound. Um, Berlin drives my favorite track, which is City. Great bass line, great bass solo, really cool 16th note stuff in that one.
It's really good.
Uh, Hyper K, super good melodic tune. It's one of my favorites. Und is up there. And like others have said, JFK, that song's got energy. Yeah, it's a little like rockish, punkish. Yeah, that kind of fits, but it's got energy. He brought that song back too. They did that on the Spinning Globe album, which is another good album that could have been in here. Basically, I like all of it except maybe Rage In. It's kind of a very odd closer. They're kind of like that's very 80s feeling, like industrially kind of thing. Um, I do have a complaint, of course, being former drummer, the Simmons thing, I don't like. I can deal with it for everything but the toms. The toms sound like freaking shoeboxes. It's just not. I don't like those tom sounds at all. I could deal with the bass drum and the ride cymbal. I mean the snare drum and the ride cymbal being thin and crispy, but man, those toms, ugh, just no good. But the songs are just too damn good. And if there's a bit of nostalgia in it, because where I came in, I cop to that because you know was a formative album for me in the mid to late 80s fusion. Like was a big deal album. So
But
it's my
that
number
does
two.
happen, George. I mean, you grew
Yeah,
up with that, right? I mean, that was if that's your introduction and you loved it then, it kind of sticks with you.
yeah. I mean, when especially on the as far as disqualifying it for production sounds, and we're not going to do that as easily as you would because we just they're they're grandfathered in for us. Where for you, you're like, hey, yeah, I get it.
And I'm a big fan of the Spice of Life too, as well. I like that quite a bit. And actually, I got that before I got this one.
Oh, okay. Well, tell us about your champion, Sven.
Okay, so my number one was Trico Roll, which was kind of a surprise to me because I remember liking it when it came out, but just listening to it this time, it really just became clear that just about every tune on here was really solid for me. This one kind of had like that power trio vibe to me as well. There was like a lot of unison lines, and then I mean there was some composition in there, but I felt like there was a lot of just kind of freeform jamming too, just where you know just overdriving bass line and the energy would just build, and I like that. I like that just that kind of jam kind of a feel. Um, I feel like it had a lot of really catchy heads to the tunes that just they stay with you, which is kind of it's good writing, I guess. Um, it has some retro elements, like it kind of seemed to hark back to some of the earlier Kazumi stuff. He has he's playing with a really flanged kind of a tone still. A lot of heavy on the chorus and the flange. When I think a lot of guitarists kind of moved away from that. A lot of the fusion guitarists in the in that era. Um, Yannick on there I liked a lot. He's a really solid bass player. Some of the tunes that stood out. Metabolism. I love the way that he does this thing where it's like you heard this more in his early playing, but it's sort of something that kind of reminds me of John Abercrombie a little bit, where he does these more like it's a slower thing where he'll hit a tension note over a chord and he'll just hold it for like a whole measure. And at the beginning, this kind of starts out that way. It's like it's this note that has this beautiful tension against the chord. Instead of like doing the squirrely thing and playing a million notes, he just holds that note just to let you just kind of steep in it. Um, and that has like a real sense of wonder to me, just the feel of that kind of playing. What else? Writing. I thought like that almost could be like a theme song to like a 80s TV show, like a like a detective show or something like that. I could imagine that being the start. What else? Really good Yannick solo. It's just classic Yannick with the kind of the reverb that he uses. That was really nice. Algorithm, which is I guess a Watanabe composition. It's like a bebop head. Um, that was really fun. It was like just sounded like almost something that Dizzy could have written. And then he goes into this kind of like you know this flange guitar thing, and he builds an intensity, and it was almost like Pat Martino, the intensity that he builds to on that. He's just really like driving hard on that. Then towards the end, it's interesting, like you don't great drumming on all these albums, but I noticed there's not a lot of drum solos on many of these albums. But in this one, there is at the end there's like a bass and drums trading eights, which is kind of fun. Um, what else? Perfect Water didn't bother me that much. I felt like it's almost like the kind of thing that Holdsworth does on his albums, where he's just got that kind of just swell, volume swell solo with echoes, and that was kind of his, um, or I'm sorry, Sea Dream is what I'm thinking of, not Perfect Water. It's just like a chord swell thing. Um, Azimuth was interesting. It was like almost like a tango style melody. Um, but yeah, anyway, I thought that just the variety of tunes on here was I didn't feel like there's too many duds on it. Just this a solid album through and through.
Eric, what say you?
Well, I've been following Sven all night. I have to agree that Janik Gwizdala, really impressive player. Not that they all aren't. We've obviously with Berlin and Buddy Burnell. I mean, just great playing. But Shanghai, terrific. I love in that one. I think the jazziness of this record got me that there's a lot of more. And I don't want to say more, but there was the jazz element to this record that for some reason really caught my ear. I love his soloing in Shanghai. It's got some nice grit to it. It's not that overly saturated tone, but it still has teeth. And I have to say again, I love his rhythm work, which is something, I'll sit back and let a lead blow me away all day long, but I really thought his rhythm playing throughout is terrific. Metabolism, Sven, you stole my thunder because I've got written right here. I love when that sustain note hits. I'm sure I won't describe it as well as you did, but there's something about that, and I'm just sitting there. And then after that the solo section he takes off in, but that kind of changes the feel or the color of the song when that sustain note hits, and then they kind of move into this rhythm guitar that has some vibrato on it, and then his solo section is incredible. And again, that kind of falls, I'm talking about the jazziness of this record, and that's a total rocker when the solo kicks in. Um, Algorithm, again, it's got that really straight jazz sound, but there's some amazing unison runs. I like the clean tone again. And the chording in this one is just as exciting to me as his lead playing. Very intense. And that Sea Dream, that to me was beautiful. I've knocked a few of the other, softies. I think on Kilowatt, I was talking about how I felt like there were maybe a little too many slower ones, but Sea Dream I thought was nicely placed. And then you hit into Perfect Water, which again, killer soloing, might get a little repetitive, but the soloing just takes me away on that one. And I do have to mention Azimuth. Great playing, and for some reason, this is the track that caught me that I'm like, God, they did such a big sound for, the trio. I just thought all the parts were interesting. Nothing's empty, but everyone's kind of got their little place in the mix. And I don't know, that really just captured me. So whatever it was about this album, I don't have it yet, but it's on order. So Tri-Corolla is my number one.
Pete, what about you?
I'm gonna go with the one with the crappy album cover. Not that any of these are great, but yeah, I love Spice of Life. Really, really great. To me, probably done by design, when you got these three guys together, this sounds to me like 80s King Crimson meets 80s Fusion meets Buford. That's kind of what it is. Great tracks on here. I love the opening Melanco or Melancho, however the hell you say it. To me, that could have been an instrumental outtake from the Discipline album by King Crimson. I guess it's not surprising that I like this album so much because I get a lot of those vibes here. Um, all three players sound great on here. I agree with George. Sometimes the drum sounds are the playing is great. It's kind of dated sounding, but this is what Buford was using at the time. So Berlin is off the charts here. Um, I love City. Berlin is just killing it on that. Absolutely killing it on that. So good. And then like what I love about Kazumi on this album, I think he's really unpredictable on this album. He's almost doing like this wild kind of like Adrian Belew meets like Alex Lifeson thing, all like very 80s sounding, but just you never know where he's going to go with his solos. And I mean, that's kind of him his whole career, but I find, especially on this album, and even The Spice of Life too, he's really hitting on some interesting things. Um, Period is great. I think Kazumi blows the roof off of things on that. So good. Limpu is so funky. JFK totally rocks. And I even like Rage In. I think Bruford is killing it on that. I mean, to me, this whole album is really good. There's nothing on here I don't like. Unt is great as well. So that's my number one. Incredible, incredible album. But all these are really incredible. So
Yeah, I got Kilowatt. Again, like Spice of Life, probably a time and place thing. When this came out, man, we wore it out. This and Bunny Brunel Momentum were kind of a match pair because of the bunny thing. And you guys had it right. I mean, it feels like this is a collaborative album. I mean, Bunny Brunel wrote or co-wrote three or four of these tunes. Um, and they bear his stamp big time. I mean, that bass line on Thousand Mega, that is Bunny Brunel to a T. I mean,
ugh.
that song, absolutely fantastic. Best opener in this bunch for me. Capri initially sounds like a song I wouldn't like with the Kenny G soprano sax. I mean, it just sounds like, where's this going? But it
It's
turns,
Wayne Shorter.
yeah, it's Wayne Shorter. It's like, okay. And they as it moves along, it becomes a better and better tune. It's really good. No One is one of two songs here that got remade for the first Cab album. Got remade and retitled. No One and Bernard both ended up on the first Cab album. It's kind of a nice little thing. Sunspin is one of my favorites. You got the mallet player on that one. I love that. Um, Jive is a funky tune. Like yeah, it's Sven said kind of disco-y. It's got kind of like that, yeah, kind of like that dance floor groove. Somehow they make it cool. Goodnight Machines is one of my favorites too, the closer. That's a Bunny co-write, another 16th note bass line that's really interesting. Again, we have electronic drums here. John Wackerman, though, uh, plays them a little differently. I think his sounds are a little better than Bruford's. They're a little dull, but at least they're not blindingly dated. It's a little more palatable for me. He's a he's a good player, not as good as the brothers, but he's good. Um, I just couldn't put anything past this album. It's just nostalgia mixed with the respins didn't change my mind. It was like um, just too good. And even though it's probably the worst guitar sound, I mean the guitar sound is kind of dry on most of it, kind of like overly clean. With Kazumi, it doesn't matter for some reason. He's so unconventional, and I think Eric had mentioned to me once that he gets the same thing I do out of him, which is he's imperfect with his technique, but that's kind of the charm of him. Like he's not some machine like that, just blindingly perfect and never makes mistakes. It's kind of humanizes him, and maybe nowhere more so than this album. So I had to put it at one.
If you guys really like his kind of cleaner tones, definitely check out his debut from 1971, which is called Infinite. I'm going to cover up the little naked girl standing by the toilet, but really, really good. It's very much more like traditional jazz guitar, but it's excellent. And it's right around that time, the beginning of Fusion, so you can hear like little bits of things going on. But excellent, excellent album. If you like his kind of cleaner, like more traditional jazz tone.
I don't think I heard that one.
Yeah, it's really good. Ken had it for a while. I scooped it up as soon as he had it, and quite good.
Well, the George's pick. I wanted to do something related to Kazumi albums, but not a Kazumi album. So I usually go to a band piece. He's been in two bands that I know of. The Kazumi band of the early 80s. They did two albums uh, that are good albums. They're pretty good, they're good solid albums. And then he comes and does four albums with a band called Resonance Vox. He starts out with Pandora, which got billed here as a Kazumi album because it was the last album on his Vision contract, but got billed over there as Resonance Vox. And then the next album that he does in that grouping is OXO, which is the last one last studio one we haven't talked about. We Pandora was on the first episode, and we had the self-titled Resonance Vox on as a George's pick on one of the other episodes. But this one I really enjoy. What is your take on this one, Sven?
I really like this one. It's interesting. Kazumi has always kind of built his career around working with Westerners, and so this is his all Japanese band, and it's really solid. One of the things that I liked about it was guitar tones were just. I mean, he's always such a using so much flange and chorus throughout. Even in his more recent stuff. And this one, there's not a lot of that. He has this really like kind of beefy, resonant kind of guitar tone, which just really drew me in, being a guitarist, being a um, not so great guitarist, but but I like tones. And yeah, I mean, there's like a Holdsworthy thing to some of his solos. First one, Unlucky Heaven. Um, a lot of good things going on here. There's like that kind of cyclical bass slap intro was like I love that. It's it was so cool. And then he like comes into these power chords and there's kind of the power trio thing going on. And then that solo is almost like it almost was like a baritone guitar solo. I don't know if he was playing a baritone guitar or not, but it was a much kind of a deeper sound. Um, and then kind of funky outro I thought was really cool. Dream Invader, it was like that one is like there's like just one catchy melody after another in the beginning of that. There's almost like three in a row of just like, wow, that was really catchy. And then he moves on to another. Um, what else? More kind of like the Holdsworth vibe on Wise Up. Um, in a solo. It had like a really nice kind of rolling sounding solo that reminded me of Holdsworth. There's this kind of cyclical guitar thing in the beginning that reminded me of like Robert Fripp a little bit. I don't know, maybe I'm off there, but it sort of had that vibe to it. Um, you know. Yeah, I mean it's a really solid album. If anything, just for the guitar tones in it, just very satisfying.
You like this one, Eric?
Yes. Like you said, I'm familiar with the other two that we've talked about. And I think, with this one, getting getting to do the listening for the first time, because I had not heard this before. Again, I agree with Sven. I like the guitar tones on this. The opener has some great unison bass guitar spots, I think, on that one. Great opener. Unlucky Heaven is that one. I think Wise Up has some tapping in it, which I thought was pretty cool. His soloing is terrific in that one. Um, I really like the flamenco. I think I'm going to say the name of that one wrong. The Sicaro, uh, kind of different again. Like I like the acoustic stuff on the other one on Kilowatt. And on that one, I thought there was some really nice guitar playing on that. The title track, love the funkiness in that one. The bass soloing, or a great bass line, a lot of fun. The solo is hot in that. Um, and I think the fuzz bass on Cyber Pipeline is really cool. I really enjoyed that. And that's another one that's got a great Kazumi solo. I could do without the closer. I think that one was just uh, kind of noisy. There's percussion and there's some piano in the vocalizations, but other than that, I think uh, 1 through 9 it is a really solid run on the record. It's pretty much the closer is really the only thing I don't care for. So, uh, great record, great playing. I think after going through this and not, knowing Kazumi Watanabe, but not being 100% familiar, liking all five. I mean, like we said, we're kind of being petty, trying to find things to pick here and there, but liking all five of these records, uh, there'll be more to come, I'm sure. So, but really cool stuff here on this one.
No, you like it, Pete.
Yeah, I dig this. I think the only thing I can say about this album on the negative side is I think it's really, really front loaded. I find like the last two or three tracks kind of like lose a bit of steam, but man, everything else before then is arguably as good as anything else we've talked about today. I mean, Unlucky Heaven is so good. Man, that bass player, Vagabond Suzuki, where do you get this name Vagabond from? Anyway, but amazing, amazing player. I love Dream Invader. It's like really quirky. There's some cool guitar sounds on that. I love the title track. It's super funky. I love his riffing on that, man. Oh, it's just so good. And Cyber Pipeline, again, I put down in my notes that's approaching like Fragile intensity on that one. Really, really good. I love Wise Up. Again, the last couple tracks don't really do a lot for me, but everything that I've already mentioned is so good. Really, really good. Probably, I mean, all the Resident Fox albums are really good. It's hard to say which one's my favorite, but this is up there. It's really good.
Yeah, I love it too. I probably edge it for Pandora, but this is right there. I
Yeah,
mean,
Pandora's great.
Unlucky Heaven, what an opener. I'll just echo
Yep.
everybody else. And I hear though what Sven is hearing with the solo, where he's actually sounds like he's trying to cop Holdsworth a little bit, which really doesn't do with the rest of his career. I mean, I can't point to a lot of instances anyway. He's more of a unusual picker kind of guy, but seems like he's going for some legato stuff in that one. Just a great when that kicks in with that bass line, man, that's just a great beginning. Wise Up, one of my favorite fusion softies ever. It's a little bit soft, a little kind of a loping pace, but the melody, first of all, it's syncopated. It's not boring syncopation. And then the melody's just something about it. It's real catchy. OXO, the title track, one of the best funk fusion tunes that I know of. The riff is great. The bass line, the old like a Rocco Jocko kind of bass line, 16th notes. It's entrancing. Amapola Negra is a real treat. He's playing the acoustic in that, and he's dueling with a accordion player.
Accordion, yeah.
And I'm going to give this guy a pass. I usually would say, accordion, get out of the studio.
Yeah, that's how I feel usually.
This dude rips. This guy's matching Kazumi note for note. I mean, there's some unison runs in this thing, and the guy solos. He might be better than Kazumi. He's really good, man. The guy's intense. The song is kind of like as the name tells you, it's kind of a Latin thing, kind of got kind of a creepy feel. Really good. And Cyber Pipeline, another one. Heavy driving, the bass line. Suzuki is kind of like Kazumi's right-hand man on these, I think. He writes a little bit on some of them. Sounds like he may have had a hand in that because that's really bass driven. I'll go with Eric and Pete. The closer is a throwaway, but everything else here, pretty damn good. Um, just this band, I really wish they had lasted longer. They did the 3 studios. They did a live album, and then they hit the road. Like Kazumi's got McLaughlinitis. He can't do anything for very long. He gets restless and he's got to go do something else. So, and he hasn't put it back together. That's kind of surprises me that like they haven't done an album down the road somewhere because these are all early 90s. But I love them. Fantastic albums. And if this was in the square, it's right up there, man. It's really good. So OXO.
Yeah, it had to be difficult choosing 5 albums to talk about today because there's so many,
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
so many.
All the guys in my forum are going to be like, "Why didn't you pick this? Why didn't you?" There's one guy on there. He's an expert at telling me what I should have picked, so he's going to get me. And Cohen will get me. They'll be like, "Oh, you didn't have this. You didn't have that."
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, Tochi Ka is great.
Yeah.
It's really good. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Mobo stuff because that's kind of where I started with him. But some of these are, amazing. He was playing a Steinberger back then.
Yeah.
See, I remember seeing, and again, I had this on cassette. I remember seeing this on cassette and thinking, what the hell kind of guitar? Because this was the headless guitars were very new then. And I remember,
Pete, I told George I was watching Spice of Life live, and he plays a Steinberger in a couple of the tunes. So whatever it was, 87, 88, right?
yeah, yeah. And if you want to hear like him just, I mean, this album is the Mobo album, Mobo 1, Mobo 2. It's a double album. Some really interesting stuff on here because he's doing like these big, long, extended jams, and you got Michael Brecker's on here, and Omar Hakim, and Marcus Miller, and Robbie Shakespeare, and some of it's kind of like fusion reggae-ish, and he just goes to town. I mean, just great, great stuff. There's so much good stuff in this catalog. I mean,
Those are
I've only heard
really eclectic. You got to have an open mind for those because they are really eclectic. They're
oh
all
yeah,
over the place.
yeah. I mean, just so much good stuff here. And
That Lonesome Cat.
yeah,
Yeah, I got that. I got Olive Step. I saw you had. I have that too.
yeah, yeah. It's a lot of good albums here. And I have a lot more. These are just the ones that I picked up like in recent memory, but yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, he has a bunch of acoustic stuff too,
Oh
like
yeah.
the
Yeah.
Renaissance, which I haven't gotten as deeply into those. I don't know. They don't. I like the edge a little bit more that he has on his electric albums.
He's a guy like maybe you wouldn't link with acoustic technique. Like, is it going to transfer? Because he can be a little inaccurate, but he's come through. And when he's done it, he's been impressive. So
Yeah. What I heard on these was good. I enjoyed his acoustic work.
I guess
Plus,
his health
he
is not.
also, in addition to all the solo albums he's had as a leader, I mean, there are a ton of like Japanese jazz rock and fusion albums where he appears as a sideman. I've got a ton of other stuff where he appears on other people's albums, and that's amazing too. So it's
that seemed to stop in the early 80s. Like, there's a lot in the 70s, and then
70s, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Huh.
but he's having some health issues too. He had I don't know if you heard about that. He had like a brainstem hemorrhage or something like that, maybe a
yeah,
couple years ago, and I don't know what his status is if he's going to come back from it or not. I don't know if you guys have heard anything, but
no,
I'm really hoping he does.
yeah, great player.
Yeah.
All right, George, any hints for our next episode next month?
Yes, I we had one a few months ago. The that people liked the hidden gems of the 90s. I thought to bring it back and do hidden gems of the 80s.
Ooh, okay, cool.
And I got Mr. Chadwick to come back because he was on the 90s one. I said, "You want to come back and do the 80s one?" He's all for it. So We're going to do Hidden Gems of the 80s.
Sounds good. Looking forward to that. It should be fun.
Cool.
I'm sure we'll find out the albums relatively soon, right? So we can get to work.
Yeah, I got the square done. I'll send after the show.
Cool. All right. But for this month, everybody, so go give a listen to these, well, the four in the square and the one George's pick, and let us know how you would rank them down in the comments below. And we'll see you next month here on 4Fusion Friday. I want to thank Sven for coming and joining us today. It was good
My
to see you.
pleasure. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
absolutely. So thanks everybody for watching the show, and please do spread the word of 4Fusion Friday. We know we have a very dedicated following here, people who really love this style of music, which more folks took the chance and listened to this great instrumental music. So the more the merrier. So bring them to the party each and every Friday, first Friday of the month. And we'll see you next time here on 4Fusion Friday. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram
All the damn
all
time.
the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also, don't remember, we've got a companion show to this, which is the 4Fusion Song Battle. So that'll be coming up, I'm assuming, in a week or two, George.
Couple weeks, yeah.
Couple weeks. All right. So stay tuned for that. And we'll see you next time here. For Eric Porter, George Lamie, and Sven Levine, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Stay tuned for the UK Connection happening tomorrow and ranking the albums of the US metal band Obsession on Sunday. Till then, have a good one, everybody. Take care. Bye bye.